the girl knows that the man wants this and is able to provide what the man wants.
Yeah, but she only knows the man wants it because the man wants it. That's my point.
If there was no underwear to buy, if the man is not buying anything.
No, if the man didn't want it, there would be no underwear. It's as simple as that. Now, just a disclaimer, it's gonna get dicey. So I hope you guys have warmed up thus far with our 1 hour, session. Now we're gonna go into the meat. So right, let's dive into it.
Right then, so you say it's gonna get dicey in here. I don't think it's gonna get dicey. I think we'll have to do a few parts to this. We'll see where it goes. Yeah. So I came across this video where it was LBC. They were having a conversation about OnlyFans. Oh, sorry, they call it OF because otherwise the algorithm, whatever. So you have to censor it.
Don't know that. Gone.
Yeah, like a lot of videos they always censor it. I'm just like, oh, why are we censoring it? OF.
Okay. Crack on.
So there was a particular woman that came on in support for that kind of work. The presenter was talking about, because obviously the comments are always, it's empowering for women, so he, like most of us, were sitting there, how is you stripping and either shaking nyash or taking pictures of your nyash empowering? I've just remembered the story broke out because there's a particular singer called something Nash. Do you know her?
I mean, something Nash is not allowed to go on.
The last name is Nash. I can't remember the first name.
The only Nash I know is Kate Nash.
It could be. But don't quote me on that. But yeah, whoever this particular artist is, apparently she's about to go on tour, but she doesn't have enough money to go on tour.
Okay.
So she's turned to OnlyFans and she's selling her bits and bobs to raise money to go on tour. So that's why this conversation came up, So this particular woman is now defending, obviously, that she's saying that my best friend does that. I would have been doing it as well if I didn't have this job. She was a web designer. And she said she was partly saying that it's empowering, but partly arguing to saying that I think if people didn't look down on this industry so much, some of us wouldn't feel the need to have to defend it by saying it's empowering. It's a hard. I know it. She was confused. Okay. Because she was trying to say that it's not easy. The best friend works almost same hours as her, like 120 hours per week. Makes almost same amount of money as her. It's not as easy as people think as just taking pictures and whatnot. But obviously there's a morality conversation in it. So it was that discussion that somehow, I don't even know, God works in mysterious ways, right? I had an epiphany. I had my light moment, right? That I then started thinking about, once again, something that we've touched upon, but once again, the role of women in our society. But this time, from the context of the influence that women have on men if they are married, boyfriends if in relationships, or men as a whole in a society. Does that make sense? Are women a force for good? Or no, let me not say that. That will go down to what you were saying. Okay, so let me just say what you want to say. So let me put this disclaimer to say that I don't believe, I'm not one of them ones that think men don't need women or women don't need men. I think God got it right in that when he had one man, there was something that was missing. And he was like, no, I need somebody for this person. So put him to sleep, took a rib, created a female. When the man saw the woman, he was like, now this is me complete, right? That's the surface level understanding. When you go a few steps back, the Bible will tell you that God was always going to create a man and a woman. That was his plan initially, right? But that's if we were having Bible study. So for now, that's the thing. So I'm not trying to question women, but like I said, I'm trying us to sit and look. I'm trying to make us sit and look at how, if at all, the Prince of the Air is using our women, right? In the society. Am I making sense so far?
Thus far, yeah.
Okay. Do you have anything you want to add on that so far?
No.
Okay, good.
Yeah,
Right. So then, moving on. I'm joking.
Let's
So I want us to take it. I want us to take it way back, way back, and I want us to have a small discussion about the beginning, right? Now, what I mean by that is when God created the man, then created the woman, he then put them in the Garden of Eden, as we know the story to be, and gave them a set of instructions, right? And in that set of instructions, the one instructions which was, you shall not eat from that tree in the middle of the garden. He called it the tree of the knowledge of good and of good and evil. Now we know that the woman one day, as she was minding her own business, the serpent came. Who, again, if we are looking at that discussion, we would know that it is the evil one, the devil, in the form of the serpent or represented as a serpent, and basically spoke to the woman and convinced her that the fruit was good for food. Now, the Bible does say that when the woman saw that the food was pleased into the eye and desirable for wisdom, she took it and ate it, right? But nothing happened. Absolutely nothing happened when she everything was Gucci. And then it says that she then took the fruit to the man, to her husband at the time, or the man, Adam, whatever you want to say, who was with him. Yes, that is a very important, addition, which creates a very
no, Karen,
right?
Karen.
But yes, we're leaving that for now.
Yeah.
So instead of took it to her, I'm going to say she then plucked another one and said, hey, Oga, Adam, eat, come on. And then upon eating, that's when everything fell apart, right? That's when they realized they were naked. Upon him eating, that's when everything fell apart. They realized that they were naked. Then they started hiding, created, and so on and so forth. Right. So here's the first thing I want you to come in on. Right. Why do you think? Why do you think Adam ate, despite him also knowing the instructions? Why was he pushed to eat? Do you think there was influence from him?
Humans are an interesting species. So, I mean, it's an easy thing to understand as to why a man would do something that a woman asks them to do.
Well, what is it then? Why was this smitten?
Well, I mean, obviously he was smitten when he saw her. He said,
was
"Whoa,
she beautiful?"
Yeah. When he saw her, he said, "Whoa,
I'll
man.
eat it for you, even for you."
Yeah, no, I mean, I don't know. That will go into speculation in terms of like what do I think the conversation was like? What did she say? What did he say? I think maybe we weren't given the details because they're unimportant, or maybe they would cause a lot more issues than necessary. But yeah, 100%. As far as the story we're given, the only reason Adam ate that fruit was because Eve gave it to him. And I think that's emphasized in the
response he's given to God.
Yes, that, but also later on when Paul is writing, he says, because it wasn't Adam that was deceived, but it was the woman that was deceived. And then the woman caused Adam to eat the apple. So, yeah. I mean, I don't know what else you want me to add.
We've spoken about this before, in the sense that when you look at apostles or prophets or pastors that have just started their ministries or whatnot, a lot of these churches are filled with women to begin with.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
Do you think women are
susceptible?
Like, how do I phrase this question without sounding like we are on the cancel list for Christmas?
No, just use the offbeat POV. We say what we mean.
We say what we mean and we mean what we say, right? Do you think in that sense, do you think women are vulnerable when it comes to the spiritual realm in that sense? Because I don't know if
vulnerable is the word.
Mental vulnerability, in a sense that they are quick to believe anything and everything, really, and you can easily convince them of anything. Whereas a man would and I think this is such a bad thing to have to quote given the circumstances, but I think Andrew Tate has spoken of this as well. You know, Andrew Tate has actually spoken of the difference between men and women in that regard. A guy will ask questions a guy will fight back. Even when you talk about,
I disagree with that. I think a certain type of guy might. I think I'll disagree as a general
not
statement.
all guys. Okay, fine.
Not even. I would argue not even the majority of guys.
You
because
think so?
I'm okay making general statements if they apply to the majority of the group. But I don't know if that statement applies to the majority of the group. To be honest with you. Oh, off memory, gone. But yeah, I don't know if that statement applies to the majority of the group. I think the people that would question, like properly question and properly investigate before believing something, I think those people are in the minority, both in males and females. I don't think they're the majority.
Why is it that the serpent didn't go straight to Adam? Right? That's the first thing. Because it's like, okay, if you are trying to bring down a house, if you are trying to find the weakest link, as it were, people often speak about finding the weakest link of the group, and then you enter through that weakest link of the group, then you pounce, and then through that, you can eventually bring the whole group down, right? So if we look at the setup that they had in the Garden of Eden as Eve being the weakest link, that is why the serpent decided to go to Eve, essentially to bring down Adam. Does that make sense? Yeah. So I'm thinking, just throwing thoughts out here, right? I'm actually thinking that the women, when it comes to especially spiritual things, I feel like women are quick to believe, women are quick to be intrigued, are quick to follow, whereas men will be a bit more apprehensive about it, is what I'm saying. Yeah. So does that give you something to chew on for now?
It does. It does. So several avenues. Okay. I don't know if I'd agree about weakest link. However, I also have to acknowledge that the Bible explicitly says, "For it was not Adam that was deceived, but Eve." And then in another place, it talks about obviously how we have to bear with the women because they are weaker vessels. From my own thinking, from my own assessment, I have observed that women do thirst for spirituality. They thirst for not leadership, but for lack of a better word, leadership, guidance. They thirst for someone to follow, right? And in most cases, this does manifest in prophets and religious leaders, because not only do they have answers for your life today, but they have answers for eternity. So of course, it's a great bargain. It's a great answer. So in that regard, fine. And even the New Testament talks about how when it's talking about false prophets, it talks about how the false prophets will target the women, the women weak in faith, in order to sort of foothold their message and corrupt people and lead many astray. I believe that's in 1 Peter. So do I hear what you're saying? Yes, I do hear what you're saying. But then my question would be, what's the consequence of that? Or like, what's the... Okay, if we're to say, all right, cool, women are vulnerable, like spiritually vulnerable to attacks by, let's say, the evil one or false prophets and stuff. Okay, then what?
Okay, that's the first step of the block. Okay, you say, and then what? Okay, let me go to the next bit. My phone is back on, which is very good. Give me a sec.
Well, while you're looking at that, let me just say that the verse I was quoting was 2 Timothy 3:16, which is talking about the false prophets. It says, having a form of godliness but denying its power, they turn away from such these. They are the kind who worm their way into households and captivate vulnerable women who are weighed down with sins and led astray by various passions, who are always learning but never able to come to the knowledge of truth.
Okay, fine.
That's what I was referring to.
Okay, so let's go back to the Eden for now. Okay, because I want us to build blocks so that it's a rich discussion, and then we can see like the meat of the discussion. So far we've explored, or rather just repeated the fact that when it came to the falling of mankind in the Garden of Eden, the serpent deceived both Adam and Eve through Eve. Yeah. But then there's an interesting thing there that happens, which is things only start to go wrong when the man also eats. Right now, when God is coming and he's saying that, okay, Adam, what have you done? Yeah. Went to Adam first, didn't go to the woman. Went to Adam first. Adam, what have you done? Have you eaten from the tree that I told you not to? Right? Then obviously in his defense, he's like, well, it wasn't me, it was the woman you gave me. Yeah, blame the woman. But nevertheless, God is still addressing him. So I was like, okay, do you think this is why? Yeah, I mean, I'm saying, do you think? So if I'm saying, do you think, just understand, these are my thoughts. So this is what I'm thinking. I'm just trying to get what you think about the matter. Sometimes we wonder why the world was structured in a certain way. So I'm talking about the patriarchy, for example. Yeah. If you are coming from there, it's almost like responsibility was placed on the man. Don't you think that's why maybe the world for such a long time, just by nature, it's almost like just by design, it was like a patriarchy world? Do you think it's like men, I don't want to say that they knew, but it's built in men to know that you are responsible, you know? So 100%. In that, what I mean by that, it's almost like if God is looking down from heaven, looking down at the world, yeah? So if he's looking at, let's say, prostitutes or, you know, women, nakedness and things like that, all things that are wrong with your society, he's looking at the men and questioning them about, you know, why are your wives behaving this way? He's looking at the men and questioning them, say that, why are your daughters behaving this way? You see what I mean? So it's like the other parts are the one behaving, but the responsibility is placed on the man, you know? Yeah. Can we say that, you know, maybe that's why the world naturally, you know, again, I'm not a historian, I'm not an expert in anything, you know, like Paul, I know nothing save Jesus Christ crucified, and I'm proud to say that. So I do admit I am reaching into deep ends here, you know, even for myself. But if you look at the structure of the world that it found itself in for the longest time, and looking at the template that is given to us in the Eden, could that be a potential explanation as to why, you know, the world, this is the man's world, as somebody sang in the song?
I think that is the explanation, but I don't know if it's on the falling part. I think it's even from creation. The fact that Adam was created first and then Eve. Eve came out of Adam. Adam did not come out of Eve, right? And again, the Bible says all of this, and it says all of that to communicate something. And yeah, the world will always be a patriarchy in the way that people understand it, in that men are in charge. The world will always be a patriarchy. Always. There could be periods of history, like one arguably now.
Right now. Right now.
Well, no, but even right now, it's the men that yield the power to the women. It's the men that the women were, we have no voting rights, we have no whatever, and then the men say, okay, you know what, fine. They have a point. Okay, fine. We'll give you voting rights and everything. But ultimately, the men will always be in charge. The men will always rule. That's a fact of life. Why? Because, again, allow me to go off on a tangent a little bit. Because at the end of the day, everything comes down to violence. And men have the capacity of violence. Women have as well, but on average, a man is more violent than a woman. A man is more capable of violence than a woman. And then everything comes down to violence. And I had this story, or a good example, to say a parking ticket, for example. If you get a parking ticket on the M6 and you ignore it.
Well, hold on. Why are you parking on the M6?
No, speeding ticket. A parking or a speeding ticket. Some sort of ticket.
Because there's an issue there. If you're parking on the M6.
That's why you're getting a ticket. But it doesn't matter. It's speeding or parking ticket. The letter comes through your post. You ignore it. Another one comes through, you ignore it.
That's where I am right now.
Another one comes through, you ignore it. Oh, we're gonna take you to court, you ignore it. Eventually, what's gonna happen?
You end up
two big guys are gonna turn up at your door and force you out of your house and take you to court. So as much as
are you trying to say it's not gonna be two big women?
No. It's not. No, it's not. This is what I'm saying. No, it's not.
I was once at the hospital, Queen Elizabeth Hospital, right, in Birmingham. I was waiting for my bus in transit. So the bus station is right outside the hospital. So you can jump in the hospital and wait in the warmth. It's raining. I think somebody must have escaped from a psychotic ward. I don't even know if they have such a ward, but he didn't look like he was a criminal, but it was someone they had to restrain. And it took about 4 police or security people to pin him down. One of those 4 was a woman, and this woman was flown left, right, and center. And in the end, all she could do was hang on to like a leg, and even that leg, she was like, it was like straight up watching a movie. And I'm just like, can you get somebody to help that lady, please?
No, and listen, you have to understand, I'm not saying that to look down on anyone or to. I'm not coming at it from the way I know other people come at it from that to demean women or anything like that. I'm just stating facts. The fact of the matter is, bone density wise, the men will always have, not always, but 9 times out of 10 will have more capability than the women. And when it comes down to violence, because ultimately that's what everything comes down to, whether you're in a democracy like now, if someone breaks into your house, you're going to call the police. Do you expect them to come and reason with them? Oh no, don't kill them. Oh no, don't rob them. No, you want the police to come in there, guns blazing, boom, boom, put them on the floor, take them away. Is that not violence? And the thing is, the reason I'm saying it's always going to be a patriarchy is because ultimately when it comes down to it, which is war is what resets everything. War is a man's game. At the end of the day, war is a man's game. Are women soldiers? Yes, 100%. Are they involved? Yes, 100%. But I think people understand what I mean when I say war is a man's game.
Okay, fine. So,
all that to say, yes, ultimately the responsibility will always be on men because we are stewards of the earth. We are stewards of humanity because God has given us that responsibility, that capability. And yeah, so ultimately it will always come down to men.
Okay. So I'm seeing that even from the Garden of Eden, the structure is set up. Again, this is very weird, but I am highlighting, I'm trying to highlight the importance of women, right? Or the strength that the women have, the power that they hold, right? And hopefully by the end of this discussion, that's what's gonna come across, you know. And it's almost like one of them ones with great power comes great responsibility, is what I'm heading at. Because the next bit I wanted to go at, now I'm thinking, so okay, fine. So we've seen how it happened in Garden of Eden. Satan could have gone straight to Adam. Did God really say you're gonna eat? But he didn't. Went through the woman, right? And Paul is repeating that it's not Adam that was deceived; it was the woman that was deceived. Fine. Yet even in that, nothing is, the heavens and earth are not shaking until Adam, the one that was given the responsibility, the one that was entrusted, let's say, with the planet, has actually disobeyed as well. And then the punishment is, what have you done? He said, no, it wasn't me, it was a woman. Okay, fine. Now,
just look at the thing.
No, it's not that. I'm just laughing about what I'm about to say.
Okay, fine.
All right. So now, obviously, what we've just discussed, right? About a patriarchy world, because it's a man's world. It's a man's responsibility. Now, if you are trying to bring down a group like what I've just said, right? If you are trying to bring down, let's say, even if you talk about war or whatever, you look at the weakest link. Even if you're trying to knock down a war, you're going to find the weakest point of that war to smash it. Let's talk about the disciples, for example. You know, arguably, the devil looked at the weakest link of them all, which was Judas, and then went through Judas to bring down the group, right? Now, if you think about what's happening in the world now, and I'm talking about, let's talk about present tense, LGBT plus, you know, gay, transgender, and all these, you know, there's almost a movement that is almost trying to tell people, men, that it's not okay to be men anymore, right? That it's almost like trying to destroy what a man is, you know, do you not think that that's being done purposely? Because if you don't have men in the society anymore, right, what we are losing are strong family, like heads families, right? So that means we no longer have father figures for our women or boys, for example. We no longer have strong community leaders, for example. And if we don't have, men of principle, then the society waters down. Now, when society waters 100%. Down, what you have now, if the evil one whispers something into the society, everybody now is taking it, right? This is why I believe women are able to make millions and millions of money on OF websites and doing sex works and whatnot, because we've destroyed the man of responsibility. Now, anything that comes, we are rushing towards it. One of the stories that came out, there's this girl, I can't remember her name. I wish I could remember her name. Actually, no, I don't remember her name, in case our listeners go search her up. But she's a 19-year-old who's made over 43 million pounds on OF in a space of a year, right? And the story broke out because there was one particular user, as they call them, who donated 4.7 million to her. Now you're sitting and you're thinking, what are these people paying for? Like, what exactly is going on? Like, even if you were desperate, even if you were burning, like Paul is saying, if you are burning with passion, sure, there are cheaper ways to go. To go do what you need to do.
You're absolutely right.
You can see that there's certain perversion.
So the fact that they pay 4 million, what does that tell you about it?
You're right. It's definitely not worth 5.
Huh? No. I'm not trying. No. So I'm saying the fact that men are willing to pay. Obviously, that guy is a person who probably had lots of money. But even people who are broke, they have nothing. They'll spend their last £200 to pay some random girl they've never met. So what does that tell you about men, I guess?
Men or women?
No, men. Men are the ones doing the paying.
But women are the ones that are making them do the paying.
Okay, so for you listening to that, what does it tell you about women then? That's interesting. Okay, what does it tell you about women then?
Okay, maybe it has to be men.
No. What? I'm asking because for me, I would think about that from the man's point of view, but it seems like you'd think about it from the woman's point of view. So I'm intrigued.
From the man's point of view, I can list a few things. One, like what I've said, man has fallen from what man used to be. Yeah, we are deep into lust. Yeah, it's almost like we've given ourselves up, or almost like what woman said, God has given us up to the lust of our desires. And I think you've said it before, that if you remove God from mankind, there's no limitation, right? And if somebody has, £100 million, 5 million is not much for them to part with.
It's 5%. That's a lot.
But yeah, so it's almost the quality of men that we used to have is no longer there. It's you can talk about perversion. You can talk about even pedophilia. Of course, she's a 19-year-old. You know what I mean? Like you can talk about all sorts of things about men in the today's society. Is what I can say. Where were you going with that? What are you trying to say?
Oh, no. I mean, it's sort of along the same line, but I was just coming from the fact that, yes, you are right. It sounds ludicrous for someone to pay £4 million to a girl. Now, obviously, I don't know what they were doing. Maybe what they were doing was worth $4 million. I don't know. But I have heard
pictures.
But I have heard similar stories of like girls make a living from like, I don't know, just buying a pair of underwear, putting it on once, and then shipping it off to someone, and they'll literally pay like hundreds of dollars for that. And for me, the problem there is not the girl. The problem there is the man who's willing to pay for that. It's something you're saying.
But okay, that is interesting.
It's something you're saying because the girl would not be doing that if there was no market for it.
Very true. But also, the girl knows that the man wants this and is able to provide what the man wants.
Yeah, but she only knows the man wants it because the man wants it. That's my point.
Yeah, okay, fine. What I'm trying to say is that if there was no underwear to buy, if the man is not buying anything.
No, if the man didn't want it, there would be no underwear. It's as simple as that.
okay, fine. All right, fine.
If OF or you got if OF was not in demand, if it was not, I think one of the things I was watching said is part. I think it's the third or fourth most visited site on the internet at the moment. If it wasn't that popular, women wouldn't be flocking there in droves. The only reason they're flocking there in droves is because there's money here.
Okay.
Oh,
so what came
men
first?
are congregating here.
Okay, fine. Sorry. I want to do a chicken and the egg situation here. So what came first? Was it the demand for such things, or such things came up and men realized that, we can purchase that?
The demand.
And then that.
The demand.
You think so?
That's like saying
it's somebody somewhere somehow had to wake up and realize that they've got a perversion of these things.
Yeah.
Or somebody had to create a perversion.
No. It's like we're talking about sex here, which is age-old thing, which is Garden of Eden old, right? And is it natural for a man to be attracted to the female body? Yes. Now, the fallen man took that and went as far as he can with that. We're still exploring. We're still going as far as we're still.
When you say the fallen man, you mean mankind?
Yeah, mankind.
Okay, go on.
You know, my point is, so we took that natural desire, which is what came first, because your question was which came first, the chicken or the egg. I'm saying it's the, well, I don't know which is the egg in the situation, but I'm saying it's the desire that came first. So the natural desire, the demand came first, because that's inbuilt, that's natural, that's God-given. But then the fallen man took that and said, we can warp this. We can distort this. Look at all the weird things we can do. Because they're still seeking that pleasure that God wants us to have. But then now it's in a fallen state. Yeah. So now the computer comes. The creator wanted to write thingy PDF on it. And man was like, I can now see that girl from across town in my own house. Okay. So now they use, you see. So it's not the demand that came first. It's the, my apologies. It is the demand that came first, and all these are just means. OF.
It was the desire that was always there.
Brothel houses. Now
the desire is able to be lived through all these mediums. And stuff.
Yeah. Because I mean, the internet is just one medium. You have brothel houses. You have prostitutes on streets. You have the weird parties that people hold. So sex parties have been a thing from the beginning.
Parties,
yeah. All these things have always been, and all they are, the various ways for man to indulge in his passions and in his lusts. So yeah, without the demand, there wouldn't be the issue. But because there is the demand, we have the issue, and we're going to continue to have the issue until, well, it's not going to happen. But if we're looking for solutions, I was going to say, until men wake up, realize we're called to more than just gratifying our desires and actually start living for higher purposes.
Okay. So in the same context of what we're talking about, let me throw these things here and let me see if they're going to make any sense to you. Again, maybe you can see what my mind was grasping to try to get hold of, right? Samson and Delilah.
Yes.
What are your opinions on that in terms of what we're talking about? What do you think happened there?
Samson fell for a woman he shouldn't have, and he got his due diligence. As simple as that. No, but well, I mean, it depends where you're coming from, or what angle you're coming from.
I'm coming from the angle of the fact that he was not supposed to have revealed his secret of his strength, but she seduced him and weighed him down enough to the point that he actually gave in to her.
Yeah.
It actually says that, I think he lying on her laps or something like that when he finally told her. I always imagine a visual where she's stroking him and complaining, "Oh, you say you love me, but you've not told me."
That's pretty much it. That's pretty much what happened.
You don't love
several
me
times,
at all, do you? That kind of thing. And then this man eventually was like, "Oh, okay, fine, cut off my hair."
She pretty much nagged him until he revealed it. Yeah, that's pretty much what happened. That's how the Bible puts it.
Can we liken that to the Garden of Eden?
Can we what?
Liken that to the Garden of Eden.
Yeah, I would have no issue with likening it to the Garden of Eden in like a surface liken. I would probably take issue if someone was trying to do like an in-depth Instead, no, you see, so this is what probably happened in the Garden of Eden. I'll probably have an issue with that. But can we liken it to the 100%? Although I may take pause because with the Samson and Delilah situation is Samson had already got things wrong before that.
Granted.
Now, granted, obviously, I know you're probably gonna say God was using him. That's what God wanted to do.
No. I wasn't gonna say that. I was gonna say let's just stay on the topic.
We stay because obviously God said don't mix with them. Samson was like,
because one can say in the Garden of Eden, Eve had no business being near the tree because it doesn't say they walked to the tree. What was she doing near the tree for Lucifer to be like?
Well, I'm
just saying, if you want to go nitty-gritty.
it's probably nitty-gritty because I would argue there was no command to say you can't touch the tree or you can't climb the tree.
Yeah, but you can't eat it. Why are you climbing it? To do what?
Do we eat from every tree that we sit under? No.
Preferably, yeah.
No.
We don't have any trees in UK to sit under.
But my point is...
it's -10 outside. Where are you going to be doing things under a tree?
Listen, we grew up in a country where you had a bunch of trees, and sometimes when you're out playing, you get a bit tired, you sit down under a tree, whether to eat, whether to chat, whether to whatever.
She wasn't far from home. You're sitting in the one tree. She was not supposed to eat.
We don't know the geography of the tree or anything like that, and I think that's besides the point.
It was in the center of the garden. What we don't know is where they were residing.
Yeah, fair enough. But in any case, I think all that is besides the point because the command was don't eat, and she ate. That's as far as we know. That was command, and that's what she broke.
Okay, fine. You're right. Let's stay on track. Let's bring it to somewhat close. Okay. Solomon. Now, Solomon, very interesting. It actually says that all the wives he had, 1,000 of them in total, 700 wives, 300 concubines. They actually
was it 700 wives?
700 wives,
concubines?
No, 700 wives, 300 concubines, 1,000 women, all in all. Eventually, in his old age, they actually made him turn from God.
100%.
Yeah. He ended up building shrines and temples for his various wives.
The great man of God, yeah.
Now, this was interesting for me because up until then, not till today, has there ever been a man as wise as Solomon, correct? And even the wisest man on the planet fell victim to the seduction of women. Granted, he had way too many of them. Come on. Come on, like 1,000. Rachel, you go to this one, they're telling you the same thing. And then they come in groups like, no, build me a... I can imagine he was like,
no, but this is the thing. He probably did them. He probably did it out of love, out of wanting to please them.
Exactly. And that's what I'm trying to highlight in all these sections.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if your idea is the fact that women have a strong influence on men, then I'm with you 100%. And to be honest with you, you will be very hard pressed to find a house in which. So you mentioned the LGBT thing earlier, right? So obviously, let's say you have progressives who believe love is love, whatever, and then you have, let's say, the conservatives who are like, no, tradition, etc., etc. You'd be very hard pressed to find a house in which the woman is a conservative and the man is a progressive. Very hard pressed. It's usually, if there's a separation, it's usually the woman is a progressive, the man is a conservative, or the woman was a progressive and now the man is also a progressive. Because 9 times out of 10, you spoke about how you snatch the woman. Snatch the woman. There's a saying, I think, get the woman, get the house. I don't know if I probably paraphrased it, but that's in essence, that's what it says. That if you want to capture the house, capture the woman.
Exactly.
Why? Because the woman has insane amount of influence on the man. Because the heart of man wants to protect and please the woman. Naturally, I have nothing wrong. There's nothing wrong against it. I think it's beautiful. I think that's how it should be.
To our detriment.
To our detriment, if the woman is leading us astray.
Like Samson found out late.
Samson.
Who else?
David. Or not so much David. David weren't looking for it.
David went looking for it. I wanted to include him in the list. I was like, no, you went.
David were looking for it. But yeah.
In all fairness, you saw it by accident. You were just minding your business. In it, those,
what happened to whoop? Sorry, I gotta go back in now. So by accident, it just continued accidenting. But so listen, women definitely do have a huge influence on men. However, having said that, I don't think that in any way abdicates the responsibility of men.
Of course not.
If anything, knowing that should then sort of like enlighten men a little bit to say, okay, you know
need
what?
to keep our women under wraps.
No, be mindful of where you follow your woman to, or where you follow. But then obviously,
darling, come here, quick, just come 1 second.
Sure. But then that also calls for wisdom and understanding on the man's part as well. I'll tell you this. So I think on 3 separate occasions in the last sort of 2-3 months or so, I've heard stories of there's a singer I like, Andy Grammer. You probably don't. No, honey, I'm good. I gotta have another, but I probably should. No, yeah. I was listening to his album because I've gotten to listen to albums. It's amazing, honestly. Music. There's so much music out there. It's so good. Anyway, side note. I started listening to albums. So I was listening to his album, and on one of the songs, he has a song written for his mum. Now his mum died, and his wife took him to a medium, like a consort, now he's a Christian, to a medium, a consort and whatnot. Obviously in the video, he's like, oh, I was doubtful and everything, but I thought, oh, let me just go. So I was like, and then this song was born out of that. Okay, cool. I was like, that's interesting. And then literally a few weeks later, I heard another story of a Christian man that was also taken to a medium by the wife. The wife had got involved. I think they got a new group of friends, and they were discussing these things like, beyond and spirits and souls and whatnot. The man went because of the wife. And then literally just last week, I was listening to a story of a testimony of a pastor. I think used to be one of the, it wasn't like Mercy Me or one of the big churches in America, who used to be a pastor, proper pastor. Again, he now says he can no longer call himself a Christian because now he believes in reincarnation and life after death and souls and spirit and everything else. And God is the universe. God is, we are gods, blah, blah, blah. And again, that started because he went to a meeting with his wife. He went to a consultant meeting or whatever with his wife, where he felt at one with the universe and started thinking, oh, you know what, there must be more than this. And isn't it fascinating how 3 completely different people, and this just in the last 3 months, my experience, I've come across them. Now imagine how much of it must be happening.
It must be out there.
Literally. I mean, our very own story, did we not find ourselves in Bible study because of our mother? Our father found himself there because of our mother. So yes, 100%. There is something to be said in regards to, I guess, the influence and the spiritual impact that the women in our lives will have on us.
Okay. So we're going to bring it to a close and summarize it nicely, because I was very doubtful, but I think we got something out of that. But the last 3, I want to mention them because I think they're quite interesting, especially the last one. Okay. You're going to love the last one. Okay. So this one is the king that killed John the Baptist. I can't remember his name.
That was Herod.
Remember the daughter danced so well. Yep. He was like, name whatever I want, I'll give you up to the half of the kingdom. And he said, the mother said, go say I want John the Baptist's head. Okay. I have Naboth. You remember the vineyard? The king that wanted the vineyard because it was in his back garden.
Yes.
But Naboth wouldn't let it go because it was for his ancestors or whatever. and Jezebel, that was Jezebel. Jezebel was like, what a foolish king you are. Came about with this conspiracy thing, whatever, and ended up having Naboth killed. Right? And last but not least, you would not guess this. Will Smith.
Okay.
Now, do you remember the clip of the slap? Do you remember that when Chris dropped that joke, the man laughed. The man laughed until the woman clocked eyes with him, and suddenly he's angry. All right, so.
Yeah. Fair enough. I mean, that coming. Yeah, fair enough.
Defend him, God. Defend him.
No, fair enough. Fair enough.
All right, so I think what you just said before that more or less summarizes what I was hoping to get out of this conversation. This is why I was saying that it was to highlight, it was not to demean or put down, but it was to highlight the influence and power that God placed on a woman, right? And that's why you say things like the woman is the home, basically. You snatch the woman, you snatch the home. You know, a way to a man is through the woman kind of thing, you know? I don't think that's the same. I think I've just said that, yeah?
Close enough. It's true enough.
True enough, exactly. And this is what, and the thing is that the unfortunate thing is that it's not necessarily that power is just, it doesn't have right or wrong, right? It doesn't have left or right. It's up to you.
I see what you mean. Yeah.
As to how that power is going to be used. Because I didn't want to be too, or rather just to mention that with every coin, there are two sides. So we've mentioned this side of the coin, but we know we have the Ruths and the Naomis and the Rahabs on the other side of the coin. So this is not to say that every woman did a bad thing in the Bible. Does that make sense? Deceived men and led them to sin and led them to death. But this is to say that I wanted us to discuss this other aspect of the coin, this other side of the coin. Because I'm not going to lie to you. When I sit down, you think about the 3 or 4 most pressing things that the society is facing today. Women are at the heart of it.
The what?
If you mention about the 3 most pressing things that that the society is facing today, women are at the heart of it. 3? Anything you mentioned?
No, but
I've made a statement. I've taken my gamble. I want you to challenge me on it. I want you to challenge me on it.
Okay, so your statement is, if I mention any top 3 of things that
the society is facing
that
today.
Society is facing, women are at the heart of it. Okay, obviously the quote unquote woke is part of that. So I guess that's the LGBT movement and the I guess hyper racism awareness. Or
so let me talk about that for a second. What we don't hear often is women becoming men. What we're hearing often, what it's centering is men becoming women. You see, and there's a large was a large percentage of the women that were welcoming that.
100%.
You see what I mean?
That's the only reason it was successful.
Exactly.
If after it blew up, women are like, hell no.
It wouldn't have gone anywhere.
It would not have gone anywhere.
You see? So at the heart of it.
It took the women accepting it for it to become a thing.
So again, we're looking at the power that the women as a collective held, and the influence or the impact they've had on the society is the voice has been, yes, that's okay. There can be women. You see what I mean? And as a result, we're looking at our society now. Even men are becoming a bit more on the feminine side of the spectrum and so on and so forth. Again, influence of the woman. It's like men are attracted. It's like men want to be women. Doesn't make sense. It's like men want to be women. There's something about this woman species that even now men are deciding, I want to be a woman. You saw me. What's your second?
Yeah. Fair enough. We're gonna go through all of them.
No, that's fine.
No. It's a fair point. It's a fair point, and I think what you're I think what you're pointing at is important, and I think it's fair. Women do definitely have a huge influence on men, and therefore on society. And do you know what? I think that's probably what people who think the patriarchy is a bad thing misunderstand.
Exactly.
Because they're saying behind every great man, there's a woman, has been for a long time. And I think people understand that as to say, oh, the woman is great. The woman is just there doing the supporting work or what. No. What they misunderstand is that, no.
That man is great only something because of the woman.
And that's the thing they don't understand, that the reason behind every great man there's a great woman is because that woman has made that man. The man
would not have been great without that woman.
No. And just what your point about how it can be a good thing and a bad thing. Sometimes all a man needs to hear is his woman say, you can do it. Yeah. Literally everyone else in the world can be saying, nah, no way. You woman can just be like, yeah, you can do it. The man will do it. The man will do it. And to be honest with you, I think it's a beautiful system that God created.
Exactly.
It's a beautiful balance that he created where, if the woman is a woman of God and she has her spirit right, the man is a man of God, he has his spirit right, it's beautiful because everything works for good for everybody involved. Now, of course, outside of God, that's where a lot of issues start manifesting, and women take their power, which is the beauty and the seductiveness and the influence of men, and they use that to gratify the desires of the men who are now no longer interested in fulfilling the higher power, but just grant the desires of flesh. And therefore, it's like they're both taking these God-given things and just causing a mess.
Having the form of godliness but denying his power. I could not have put it better myself. So I think I'll end on that as the conclusion, because I think that summarizes it very, very nicely. I did go off on the deep end. Like Chin likes to say in his introduction, the home of soon to be.
The soon to be home.
The soon to be
Christian conversation.
Yeah, say it again. What do you say?
The soon to be home.
The soon to be home of every good Christian conversation, meaning that we're not yet there yet. These are the steps we need to take to get there. Starting to discuss a bit more things that require a bit more grit, and a bit more, I don't know about that, So challenge us. We really don't know. Challenge us. Comment, constructive criticism. Let us know what you think about what we've discussed, your opinions. I always appreciate people that put paragraphs and cite stuff. We will go read all those citations and come back next week more educated, more educated, more ready to have a better conversation. And we'll keep this going. And hopefully we can make a little ripple effect in the fallen state of the world and have a few of us that can still think logically, critically, and be believers. That is my conclusion for today. Thank you very much for joining us on OFFBEAT POV. We'll see you again next time. Do I always do the conclusion? I feel like I'm not. No, hold on.
You've done it now.
No. Yeah.
All right. Bye. It's done now.